Hello, my friends. This is Andy Falco Jimenez coming to you live from Yorba Linda, California for the Vote PYL Vote. And it's the middle of the summer or so, somewhere near the middle. And I just feel like I needed to come on. I know school is not in session, but there is a lot going on. And that's why I felt the need to come on, is that at the PYL USD, the work has not stopped with the great three of the great school board members that we have, along with our new superintendent, not as new as he was maybe a couple months ago, but a fantastic superintendent, and bringing on some assistant superintendents, doing an amazing job, which is part of the shakeup that I'm going to be talking about. And so what I have been hearing is that there's a lot going on as far as restructuring the Placentia Unified School District for success. You know, on not only on this show, but on my other shows, Andy Falco's show in particular, I've talked about, you know, in law enforcement, being a police officer and been in law enforcement now going on 4 decades, is that the most important thing in regard to an organization like a police department, and now in relationship to a school district, is the type of culture that is created from the top down. And you can see it in every aspect of law enforcement and school districts and corporations, that when you have a strong leader who is interested in the goal of said organization, law enforcement, it would be in the area of enforcing laws and making sure that when the laws are being enforced, that the personnel that are responsible for enforcing law are doing it in a honorable way, that they are well trained, that they make firm decisions, and the expectations of excellence is part of that culture. Same thing in the corporation. If you have a chicken company, you know, a chicken sandwich company, that it's the same thing. The culture is one of achieving excellence, and how you go about achieving that excellence is, again, hiring the smartest people to do the specific jobs that they've been called to do. So if you have, you know, a chief financial officer, that you hire somebody that is competent in finances. You just don't hire one of your friends who has balanced their book once or twice in their lifetime, and then because you like them, you hire them and then give them a huge salary, and then hope that they figure it out as time goes along. And so bringing you this to the PYL USD, knowing what I know now about the people that we have been fighting against for years, many of us parents here at PYL USD, and now the OUSD, the Orange Unified School District, is dealing with, the Chino Valley School District is dealing with, and the Temecula Valley School District is dealing with, is that they are up against some tyrants and incompetent former employees or existing employees that are pushing back, because they see that you have competent people that are coming in and realizing, wow, for such a very long time, there has this been culture of inadequacy, less than mediocre, and people that simply are in a position that shouldn't be in that position. And PYLUSD has clearly been in that space of less than adequate, less than competent, as I've been pointing out for many, many years now, far too many years. Again, it's taken us a long time to get to this place where we bring in a superintendent who is bringing in or creating a culture of excellence. But there's people pushing back. There's people fighting back. You got the CTA, the California Teachers Association, the NEA, the National Educators Association, and you got Apple, which is the Association of Placentia Linda educators. Sorry. And they're essentially a cabal of organizations of unions that are all the same, right? Just because it says Apple doesn't mean that they're separate from CTA. No, they are part of CTA. CTA is part of NEA, and they all join together to push back, to maintain the incompetence, to maintain the lack of the desireless, what is it? There's a word for it when you have undesirables. That's the word I was looking for. Where you have these undesirables that somehow have found their way into the education world, that have become presidents of these unions, that have become teachers, that have become superintendents or assistant superintendents. That somehow these people that we've been dealing with here at Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District have been backed by the teachers unions, because the only thing that they're good at is falling in line and pushing these horrible policies and just nonsensical issues on our children, sexual issues, racial issues, the idea that we're burning books as parents that don't want our kids to be to come across pornography in the libraries, that somehow not wanting pornography in our libraries is now we're that's being a book burner. And so as long as you can be pushing those things, it doesn't matter whether you can educate kids. It doesn't matter if your position as, being in charge of curriculums in the schools, that you're actually even good at it. As we got rid of one by the name of Adamson. She has been a horrific in that position and just completely incompetent. And finally, with the shakeup at the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District, if you've not heard, she has been fired and released from duty at the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. And that is one of the most important things that I requested and asked of the superintendent and of the school board, that be one of the first things, that is done, is that she is fired. Along with many others. Lopez is another one who has been released. I don't know if fired is the right word for these people, because I'm not sure if they've been given the opportunity to resign or what have you. Whatever it is, they are no longer a scourge on this school district. And so what happens with that is then you have people that are just losing their minds. Anybody associated with the teachers unions is writing Instagram posts, Facebook posts. They are attacking people in all of these social media platforms. They are having meetings, with others, teachers unions across the state, to find a way to stop what is happening here in Placentia Yorba Linda School District, in the Orange Unified School District. The Temecula School District is on fire with nonsense about how these conservatives have come in, or even the Christians have come in, and they're destroying the teacher or the union, or the school district down there. And these teachers unions are just going crazy. You then have not only that, you have Orange Unified School District, where they are actively trying to recall the school board members that have just been recently elected, and trying to get as much support from not only the teachers unions, but from the teachers that are not only in Orange, but that are in the surrounding area. If you've not seen me play this video before, these are members of the teachers unions in a Zoom call that are actively doing what I just said. They're trying to recruit the help of other unions and teachers and anybody else that they can get involved into stopping these new school board members who are trying to get the kids educated, that are trying to get the pornography out of the schools, that are trying to stop the nonsense of saying that everybody's racist, and if you're white, you're racist. If you are Asian and not towing the line, then you're racist. If you're black and you're not for LGBTQ, or you're not for reducing the grade system the standards within these schools, then you're racist. That everybody's racist if they don't toe the line. So here we go. I'm going to play these union members that are just crazy. They're lunatics. So here's one of them. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'll just play the parts of it so you can see what I'm talking about. Here we go.
Me as union president, I'm starting to collaborate more with some of my counterparts or my colleagues in other unions. I am going to be I've already spoken at the state council, which is the meeting of all the leaders for the state level. So it was about 700 educators, and we spoke at that meeting. And I think some contributions came in from there, and some more people following the recall effort. And then I'm going to be going to some union leadership meetings, rep councils. I'll be going to Capistrano in a month and meeting with all the union leaders in Capistrano, speaking about the recall effort and trying to solicit people to sign up to be involved when signatures happen and to get money. I'm also going to be going to, I've already arranged to go to Brea's rep council meeting to speak with their reps. And so that's where we are right now. On my end is I'm reaching out to other unions and getting them involved. And one of the messages that I'm saying is that don't think that this is orange, so I don't need to worry about it, because if we fail in this, it's going to empower our enemies to spread, basically. And they've been very excited to try to help us out. So
that's the Orange Unified School District president of the teachers union there, and that is what they're actively doing. It's, whenever we hear these teachers unions, so even APL Linda, forgot her last name. Linda Minion with the APLE, which is the local school teachers union here in PYLUSD, is that they spend so much time in anything but having teachers become better educators of reading, writing, counting, and how to think properly. Not what to think, how to think. And they spend no time on that. They spend all of their time trying to indoctrinate teachers, to indoctrinate the kids, to push sexual aspects of LGBTQ, to inappropriate sexual activity, teaching them how to sext. We've seen it. I've showed you the QR codes in the past. If you've not seen them, I've shown you all the proof that I have that this cabal of teachers unions is more interested in those issues and those things than encouraging teachers to be good teachers. It's all about protesting against education. They don't want education. They want indoctrination. And here's another one. This is a CTA rep talking about, and this, again, these are Zooms where they are actively trying to oust these school board members in Orange, which, again, you heard him say it. It's not just about Orange. It's that they need to start at Orange, and they need to work on eventually PYLUSD. They're going to work on Temecula, and they're going to work on Chino Valley and any other school district where you have a majority of the school board members who are interested in education, not indoctrination, and they hate it. The teachers hate it. They want indoctrination, not education. So here's another one.
I'm the CTA staff person working in Orange. I've already been in contact with the higher ups of CTA. I've been in constant contact with my Region 4 manager. I did speak briefly with Joe. The officers are aware of what's going on in Orange. They are very concerned. They're seeing it as Orange is the pilot, if you will. If they can succeed here in Orange, then they know they can go to other districts and do the same thing. So CTA is very concerned, very worried. We are already working on trying to get ABC money through CTA to come to OUEA, and then we will turn around, if you will, and provide that to the recall group. So we're working on that. CTA management or leadership is aware. They are concerned, and they are working with me to bring in resources and support.
Can you imagine being an educator and you're doing everything you can to stop education in these schools in California? That man, these two men, are more interested in the sexualization of children, in making sure that pornography stays in our schools and is available to kids from elementary school, from K through 12th grade. That is their sole focus. That they are so concerned. You heard him say it. That they are so concerned of what is happening, in his words, in these school districts, that they're trying to bring education. It's horrible. in their mind. It is so horrible that you saw all the people that are on these Zoom calls. There is a lot of people on these Zoom calls, and there's going to be a lot of money being thrown in to try to get these school board members recalled so they can stop this idea of education in schools. And as parents, we need to stand up to it all. In Orange, they have booths at Target there. I think it's off of Rose Drive in Chapman or somewhere near there. I know I've been to that Target. I can't remember exactly where it's at. They've been at supermarkets. They've been at a number of different places. At least that's what I've been told, that the CTA has these tables where they're having people sign the recall, whatever they call those things when you sign the recall thing. Anybody knows what those are called? Petition, recall petition, all over the place. And when you go there to have them explain or tell, how it is, what it is that they're signing, they say is that, they have people that are coming in that want to burn books, that don't want the U.S. history about slavery being taught in the schools, which is, there's nothing further from the truth. We want nothing but the truth about our U.S. history to be taught in these schools. Not one parent that I know of wants them not to talk about slavery. Not one of them doesn't want them to talk about, the truths about what happened in World War II with the Holocaust, or what happened to the Japanese in internment camps here in California in particular. That all of that stuff has to be in our U.S. history, which it always has been. It never was not. And what they're arguing and telling people is that these school board members don't want that being taught. Nobody's ever said that. What they're saying is that the school board members want books being burned. No, we don't want books burned. I tell parents all the time that there are, and I know that many of you that are watching this will not believe this, but there are parents who come to the podium at the school board meetings and are appalled that we want pornography removed out of the libraries. We have one gentleman, a man, and it really pisses me off that it's a man that comes up to the podium. He is not a man. I don't know. That's the only time that I believe that there may be a third gender, is that this guy cannot be a father. He cannot be a parent. He cannot be a man if he's going up on the podium and he's arguing, and he is arguing that, no, this pornography should not be removed from our schools. Now, of course, he doesn't use the word pornography. He says the books that we know are pornography, that when they are read, you've heard these, you've seen these videos. When parents read the contents of these books, quite often the superintendent or the school board president, when they're on the other side, will say, no, you can't read that. It's too graphic. It's too sexually graphic. You can't read that in one of our meetings. That same book, this parent that I'm telling you, this man that comes up occasionally to our school board meetings, insists on that book be in our children's libraries. It is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I watch him go up there and stand up, and I go, what happened to that man that he gets up there and claims that, and again, I've gone up there every time and says to say that we don't want slavery, that the truth about slavery to be taught in schools is moronic. To think that we should have pornography in our schools is moronic. And then we'll have that. And then he'll come up behind us and say, no, those books belong in our school. And I can't believe that you don't want slavery being taught in our schools. I said, did you just not hear what every parent says? That no, that must be taught. We also must teach that the Democratic Party was responsible for the KKK. We must also teach that the party that abolished slavery was the Republican Party. That also must be taught. The truth about our U.S. history must be taught. So what other shakeups? And so when you change the culture, as Dr. Alex Chernis has been doing, along with Leander Blades and Todd Frazier and Sean. So sorry, Sean. Help me. Somebody help me. Sean, Sean, our other school board member, great school board member. I don't know why his last name is escaping me. The three great school board members that we have on there. We have two nitwits that are on there, but we have these three that are amazing, along with our superintendent. When they begin to bring a culture of excellence, again, it really upsets those people that aren't excellent because they get exposed. When you develop a Youngblood, Sean Youngblood, sorry. When you develop a culture of excellence, what ends up happening is the lights turn on. Because prior to that, the lights are dark. They don't share anything. They keep it secret. They brush everything under the carpet. It's kind of like cocaine in the White House. It suddenly the Secret Service is completely incompetent and they can't investigate and they have no idea of who is coming into the White House. Because if they do keep track of who's coming to the White House, they'll know who left the cocaine. Because any law enforcement officer, me being in law enforcement for 40 years, is you take the list of people that have been coming in and out of the White House and you begin to go through that list and you begin to investigate one at a time. You interview them and ask them about their movement within the White House. Did they go by this location where the cocaine was? You then look at cameras and that are available. Some claim that there weren't cameras in this particular area, but there may have been other cameras in some other, and you investigate. Suddenly, the Secret Service is incapable of investigation. And so what they're doing is they darken the lights and they say, you know what, there's nothing to see here. We're going to sweep everything to the carpet. Nobody can do their job any longer. And you know what, we'll just never know who brought in that cocaine. When it comes to the leak at the Supreme Court about the decision on the abortion issues, when the one person leaked that information about what the Supreme Court was going to say about it, suddenly nobody in law enforcement can do their job. Why? Because they turn off the lights so that nobody can see. They turn off the lights so that they can say, you know what, we just don't know who it is. And so suddenly everything is just like, we're just going to push everything under the carpet. And so for many, many years, there's been a lot of stuff going on in our sports at PYLUSD, with our teachers at PYLUSD, between assistant principals and principals covering up certain things that are happening because it's their friend, the teacher, or their friend, the coach, or their friend, the teacher's assistant, or what have you, is the one who's being accused of something. And they say, you know what, we're going to investigate it. And then they spend, way too long to investigate it. And then they say, our findings was that there's no wrongdoing, or we didn't have any corroborating information. But no, that is not true. What they did is they just went dark and they decided, we'll just we'll make the parent do all kinds of, things and jump through so many hoops, which I've had to go through, which I'm currently going through, is that they create this obstacle course that what ends up happening is that the parents become so frustrated in the processes that they create to eventually tire you out. So you just give up, or they kind of go, well, you know what? We talked to them and we told them not to do it again. Or, we really like, empathize with what it is that you are dealing with. But we don't have, the means to do anything about it because of the current policies. But what we'll do is we'll consider changing the policy so this doesn't happen in the future. Or, all these little things that they try to do to not do anything, right? They spend hours, days, months, years doing nothing, so that they don't have to punish one of their own. And that's operating in the dark. But coming back to my original point, I'm sorry I went on a little tirade there, but when you bring a superintendent who is focused on excellence, a very bright light gets turned on and a lot of things begin to get exposed. And so what we're seeing in social media is the uproar of these, I say lunatics a lot, but they are lunatics because, they love the fact that the indoctrination of the kids is going on. They love that the sexualization of the kids. They love that there's no longer a desire for excellence in education because they're so busy trying to talk to everybody and teach everybody that their race. There's just so much racism going on. That's why I can't achieve. You need to be a victim. They love victimhood, and so they're losing their mind because there's coaches. I have a list of 4 or 5 coaches in these different schools in PYLUSD, in the different high schools, that have been operating in a very bad way. That's the best way I can put it. That there's been coaches, baseball coaches, who have been using the baseball fields and facilities to line their pockets with cash because they are telling outside baseball experts, even Angels players, that they could come to their high schools and use the batting cages. They just need to pay this person, this coach, a fee. where that fee goes in his pocket. He's not given to the school district, and he's not allowed to do that. And now they're causing a liability issue because you have people paying for a service to use the property of the PYLUSD and laying the district out, to be held liable if anybody gets hurt during this, whatever it may be, some type of clinic that he may be running, at least he thinks he's running, that to this outside person or organization, and it's the coach, and he's been doing it for years. And what is coming to light is that we have other coaches that are doing very similar things, or they're acting inappropriately. And for years, parents have been complaining about all of these things, all of these different coaches. And the assistant principals at these schools have been just ignoring it and pushing it to the side, or saying they're looking into it, but never look into it, or what have you. Or they're getting paid off. I don't know. Are they getting paid off by the coach not to say anything? Who knows? Maybe they're all getting their pockets lined by these activities that have been going on. And what is frustrating is I have a son at El Dorado who's on the lacrosse team. And for especially last year, we could not find a field to train on. The kids could not find a field to hold practice. As a matter of fact, because in addition to it raining, there was no space. But yet we have this coach allowing his friends or these organizations to come in and use the facilities that they're saying that we can't use, that our kids can't use, the students can't use in the teams that are represented by these schools because they're occupied. Yes. So you have coaches charging money for people to come use the fields that they don't have a right to do. They didn't ask the PYLUSD for a permit, and they can't do it. That's illegal for them to do it. Yet they've been doing it for years. Parents have been complaining, and yet the assistant principals and principals have done nothing in these schools about it. So so they're getting fired, which appropriately getting fired. So these coaches have been fired. You have superintendents that are finally being released because of their incompetence. You have other people in the school district. So you got this massive cleanup, which there are a few parents, I guess, and there's some teachers. And so there's some other people that are losing their minds because what's happening is exactly what should be happening when you're creating a excellence as a culture in the school district. Now, the people that are holding back the possibility of creating this new culture are being fired. And that's exactly what should be happening. And what ends up happening is that the low life teachers unions, teachers, and other coaches that are just irresponsible low lives are upset because they're getting rid of the chaff and making sure that they aren't going to be impacting our children any longer. So that is great news. Sorry, that was a really long segment on that particular issue, but it's important to understand what's happening because you're going to hear a lot of things. You're going to hear, the out of control school board and the new superintendent are just firing people willy nilly. This person that they fired is one of the best we've ever had. Maybe at one point they were good, but no, you cannot do things illegally in our school district. You need to be fired because we can't have a culture that allows that to happen because that reduces our culture down to an incompetent culture. One thing that they're allowing in the school district, which I think is great, is grandparents, because we have because of the pandemic and because our school system has lost the glitter that it once had. It's not the standards have dropped. We now have had a drop over the last couple of years in attendance of kids coming to this school district. It used to be one where parents wanted to bring their kids and the students flourished here. Because it hasn't been like that, we need to now bring back students. And so what they're doing is grandparents, if the grandparents live in the school district, the grandchildren can come into the school district and attend school. So that's called a grandparents pass, I think is what they're calling it. So that's amazing. They're bringing in paid preschool. So they're adding preschool opportunities for some of the schools. And I was told what schools, but I don't have it written down here. I think Wagner's one of them. And so now they're opening up more opportunity to bring kids at a younger age into the school district to get them kind of used to being in the school district. And so showing these parents that this school district is an honorable one, that we are creating a culture of excellence. If you can get them in at the preschool level and show that these kids, are starting off on the right foot within our district, they're more likely to stay within the district. And so we're going to be able to bring back up the numbers, which is what we need for revenue from the state and other organizations that are responsible for bringing money into the school. When you have attendance, then you have more money that will be coming into the school. So preschools are coming in. I just talked about the restructuring for a really long time. Sorry about that. One thing that we discussed, that I discussed with my source in the school district, is that I can't remember exactly who she told me is pushing this, if it's the teachers unions or the state, but they want to have anybody to have the ability to sign out your kid. What? I said. She goes, or she or he says, yes, they're pushing that anybody off the street can say, one of my kids' names, whatever that is, and Johnny Falco, which there's not a Johnny Falco. Johnny Falco, come into the school and says, I want to sign out Johnny Falco. Well, who are you? Well, I'm a friend. Okay, well, we have a policy that anyone can sign out the kid now, and so they can sign him out. And what do you think that is? Why do you think they want that? Why do you think the state wants the ability to sign out your kid, and not just the parents or an assigned person that you as a parent have decided can sign your kid out? That anybody in addition to those people can sign your kid out. Why do they want that? You can write it in the comments if you want to, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The reason they want that, because you have heard that our state representatives have been pushing to have the ability to have anyone take your kids and allow them to have they're calling it gender affirming treatments when the parents are fighting against their children having gender affirming, that's just so stupid. It's a stupid name, but I'm just using it because that's what you probably heard it as. That when a parent doesn't want that happening, anybody can now come in and take your kid out and make sure that they can have that procedure. That during school time, that somebody could come in and take your kids so they can have an abortion, so that anybody could come in and make sure that your kid can be given drugs that will alter their mind or their brain or their hormones or whatever it is. That's what they're pushing for. So if they can have anybody come in and take your kid out, then they'll be able to push that on anybody's children. And that is what the state wants. So our district is pushing against that, which I am all for. I only want to be the one, or their mom, or my wife, which is their stepmom, to be able to take my children out. Nobody else should be able to take my kid out. I don't want my best friend taking my kids out without me knowing it. But that's what they're pushing, is that anybody can take out your kid. One thing I want to make sure that is noted, and this was important for me to say this towards the end, because you remember, if you are part of this Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District, or even Orange Unified School District, or one of the other ones I named, Temecula or Chino Valley, is that the incoming conservative leaning and sometimes Christian school board members that have been brought in, or even superintendents or assistant superintendents, that what they want you to believe is that they're racist, that anybody that's coming in that isn't for the sexualization of kids, or CRT or SEL or any of these other nonsense things that they want to bring in for equity, which is another name for CRT. Anybody that doesn't want that is a racist. Now, one thing that at PYLUSD that you need to know is that for some strange reason, this is the first school board and first superintendent in PYLUSD history to bring in a superintendent who is African American. And he's amazing. I ran into him in the hallway at one of the school board meetings, and we just kind of like came face to face, and he goes, "Hey," and I go, "Hey." It's almost like we knew each other. I'm not sure if he knew something about my show that I've been doing, or but he shook my hand as if he knew me. And his credentials are amazing. And he just is an amazing human being. But what I think is just so funny is that we didn't select him because he was black, right? But we didn't not select him either because he was black. You know why he was selected is because he has the desire to bring excellence to our school. He fits in to the desire to bring a culture of excellence into our school because he is competent, not incompetent like the last set of school board members. You know, one last thing I want to say is, as I'm finishing this idea, or not this idea, this part of my show, saying that, you know, so, for whatever reason, the people they're calling racist are the only ones who've ever brought in a black superintendent. Which I think is great. And it wasn't for that purpose either. It was just so happens that, hey, we're just selecting people based on their heart and their soul and their ability to be the content of their heart, right? Not the color of their skin. That was that was the most important thing. Tammy Poor is on. So let me. I'm going to bring in her comment in just 1 second. But what I love about that is that it just completely destroys their narrative. Right? Their narrative it always fails. They always try to bring in the book burning thing. Like, you're trying to burn books, and I go, okay, show me one video where we took, you know, a pile of books out to a parking lot and set them on fire. Show me anywhere that we have banned these books on Amazon or at Barnes and Noble, or Book Baby, or wherever it is you buy. Show me where you cannot buy these books, where we have had a hand in barring you from buying those books, because you can buy all the hustlers that you want and show them to your children in your home. I know that's up to you. I care because I'm a sex crimes detective at heart. I was a sex crimes detective and investigated many of these people who brought pornography to the children, and I arrested them, and they're doing time in in state prison right now. And so I don't like it, but you can do that if you like. Hopefully someday you'll be arrested for doing that, but we're not actively stopping you from doing that. You have that ability. We just don't want it in our school. And so, see, these narratives that they claim about us, about the school board members, about the superintendents, always fall apart when you come down to it and actually look at the facts and make sure that you follow through with all these things. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my list at the same time to make sure that I didn't miss anything that I wanted to talk about. I have a lot of stuff on this list, but want to make sure that I didn't forget anything. So yeah, the signing out, anybody signing out is horrific. So Tammy says, my family isn't in your jurisdiction, but these things are happening all over and it's awful. I agree with everything you've said. I'm praying my children will start homeschooling my grandchildren. Yes. You know, Tammy, that is so important to understand that is the option that most people have and quite possibly should take. I have 6 kids. 5 of them are in the school district. I work and travel all the time, and we've all just understand that it's so difficult because I got some kids in elementary school, some kids in junior high, and kids in high school. I love sports. My children love sports. They're all participating in sports. And the dynamics behind deciding whether we can homeschool or not is just not there. The great news is that because we live in a Christian home, and that the way that we've raised the kids and that kind of stuff is that they push back against these things. And I love seeing how my children have been able to navigate through some of this nonsense, because much of the information that I get from what's happening in the schools, and they tell me that the teachers are in fact teaching CRT, that the teachers are in fact sexualizing the kids, is that because my kids are well trained and I've indoctrinated them in Jesus Christ. Is that they come back and say, oh my gosh, you should have heard the teacher today. And he or she will go along and tell me what is exactly called CRT and what it's all about. So yeah, Tammy, I hope that your kids can do that too, but there are a number of people. And it's not that we couldn't afford it, but some people can't afford to do that, right? They have to work. They, just don't have the ability to do that. And so my wife and I and hundreds of parents in the school district are fighting. And obviously we're winning because we have a majority on our school board and they're doing a fantastic job. Orange Unified School District is doing a fantastic. They fired the superintendent that they've had for years immediately once they came in. Chino Valley Unified School District with Sonia Shaw. Many of these people I've had on my show, and I like to say I'd had a little bit of a hand in changing all of these school districts. I had Madison, who is at the OUSCD, on my show. Sonia Shaw on my show. I, of course, had all of our candidates here at PYLUSD on my show, and they've all been elected, and now we are winning. And it's not because of me, but it's one little thing that I can do along with the hundreds of other parents that are fighting against all this nonsense, and we are making a difference in PYLUSD. I know I had 5 or 6 more points I want to make, but I'm already going on 40 minutes and went on too long with my earlier points. But I just wanted to give you an update in the summer. It's been a while since I've done a Vote PYL Vote, but I've had this information that I've been sitting on for a while. The last thing I want to leave you with is that you cannot stop. I know what many conservatives and Christians do is when things seemingly are going okay, we then back off, and it's happened. The reason we're in this mess is because we've not been involved. Remember, I told you when I first started going to the school board meetings, it was me and 3 other people in the school board meetings, and I was listening to the nonsense going on there. I'm going, wait a minute, they just passed 50 things with 1 yes vote. They didn't talk about any of them. That was my experience in the first meeting. My wife actually went with me, and we looked at each other and they go, did they just pass like 50 things with 1 vote? Yes. And we're going, what were they? We didn't even know what they were, but they just voted. And it was all anything that had to do with what the teachers unions wanted. It had to do with lowering the standards so that more kids could pass and graduate. This is happening all over the place, as Tammy's saying. It's happening everywhere, not just in our school districts. They lower standards so low that they because they're not educating, that they have to lower the standards so that kids can actually graduate because they're not learning. You're hearing this, that there's kids that are graduating or reaching the graduation stage of their high school in 12th grade, yet none of them can read adequately. None of them can to do math at the level. So what they have to do is they have to lower the standard so that more are meeting the standard. Well, they're not meeting the standard. You lowered the standard so they could pass this nonsense and not be able to go into the world learning how to read, write, count, or think. So you can't stop. You need to continue to show up at the school board meetings. You need to continue now to support the people that we got in there by showing up and being there. And then when they make a misstep, because they will, at some point there's going to be a misstep, and they let's try this and it didn't work. Okay, don't let it ride and say, oh, that's okay, let's let it go. No, you stop it. Again, there's so much going on. I'm going to save the other stuff for another show because I've gone on too long. But that's the update. Things are being shooken up. Is it shaken up or shooken up? Somebody help me out. Over at PYLUSD, and that is a good thing. Don't let the people that are all over the social medias, I've seen them and I'm hearing them, and they're saying that we're out of control, that the school board is out of control, the new superintendent is crazy and he's out of control. No, he's in complete control. He's bringing in a culture of excellence, and the light has been shined on those people that have been holding us back for many, many years. And the nepotism that has been going on is crazy. The friends and helping friends has done nothing but bring down the education of PYLUSD. I tell you stories about El Sasser, who we got rid of, and Adamson and Lopez, that they are all back together. They're all back together it's not Covina. What's the name of the district that they're in now? Wow, I forget where it's at, in the Riverside County area. They're all back together. Now they're going to be hurting children in another school district. They are incompetent. Anybody that's in the school district, or El Sasser, Adamson, Lopez, wherever they went, and it's on the tip of my tongue, I can't think of the name of it. I'm so sorry, but you need to get them out. You need to fight against them. We kicked them out because they're incompetent human beings. They don't care about your children's education. They only care about hurting your children. Get them out. I am sorry that they have reassembled the nepotism of them getting back together and helping each other out. And listen to this, El Sasser had a lower salary going in, from what I understand. That this, you know, I need to find more proof on this, but his salary was lower than it was here at the PYLUSD. He brought in somebody that was going to help him bring his salary up to what it was at the PYLUSD, which is something like $400,000 a year. So he was able to get his friends in there that were then able to bring his salary up. It's all for them about making money, but not about doing the job. So I apologize to those parents that are in the school district where they are at now, because they are going to destroy your school district and your children too. But I'm so sad that they're in there. Some of you will put in the chat at some point that what school district that is. I just can't remember where it is. It's in Riverside County somewhere. All right, my friends, we love you guys over here at the show, and just keep fighting, stick with it, don't give up. And we are winning. We are winning in PYLUSD and the surrounding neighborhoods where we have had an impact. All right, my friends, that's it. We'll talk to you later. Take care.